Creating a podcast is a fantastic way to create great content that's going to help your audience with whatever problem it is that you can solve for them. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a podcast super easy. Hi, my name is Desiree, and if you're looking to grow your business with better social media and content marketing, take action now. Hit that subscribe button and the bell below. Before you even hit the record button on your podcast, there are a couple things you're going to need to have in place before you get started. And for example's sake, I'm going to be using my podcast, The Women of YouTube, as my example throughout this video. So first things first, you need a name for your podcast. Now mine is The Women of YouTube, which is sort of self-explanatory, but you need a name for your podcast. This can be your name, your business name, or maybe something catchy and cute that's related to what you do. Like maybe it's like magical insurance information or something like that. Whatever it is, pick your name and know you can change it later at another time. Next, you're gonna need your hook, your description, like your really snazzy little clip that's gonna keep people in and know what you're doing. So for the Women of YouTube podcast, our podcast is like on the Women of YouTube podcast, we're here to help tell the stories of female creators to inspire other women to start and keep creating on YouTube. That's the hook. Like that's what we're in for. Now, granted, there are more descriptions and more things I talk about, but that's the hook. That's what gets people in. It's my introductory sentence that I use for everything. So figure out what your description is, what your hook is, so that you can put that in all of the places. Next, you're going to need cover art. Now, your cover art should match your branding or whatever it is that you're trying to associate this with. You can use the name of your podcast. You can use a photo of yourself. You can use both. Whatever it is, make sure that it's very clear and not too busy because people are going to be seeing it really small or maybe even a little bit bigger depending on where they're listening. Either way, it needs to be 3,000 by 3,000 pixels so that you can upload it to all the places. Next, you're going to need a place to house your podcast. This is going to be the platform you use to push your podcast to all the places. I am personally a big advocate of Libsyn, which is what I've been using for a long time for the Women of YouTube podcast, as well as the other podcasts that we produce. I have a link to Libsyn down in the description below, so you don't have to worry about knowing like what I said or scrolling or anything like that. Either way, you need to have a hosting platform so that it can push it to all of the places and it has a place to live and give you the data, the analytics, all of that good stuff that goes into the back end of a podcast. Next, you need places for people to listen to your podcast. So something like Apple, Spotify, Google. You need to set up accounts with all of these different places so that you can submit your podcast, and then once that gets good to go and it has all of the information that is needed, when you go through Libsyn and you hit publish, it goes to all of those places. You don't have to manually go to each one. If you choose to use Libsyn, they have a very extensive tutorial library that'll walk you through what to do for every platform and how it all works. So I'm not going to break that down for you, but you can definitely go check them out with the link I have for you down below. Okay, so now that we have all of this stuff set up, we have like a base for what we're going to do. Now we need to plan our episodes. And this is where you're going to have your run of show or your ROS. The run of show is incredibly vital to the success of your podcast. It's going to set the pacing. It's going to give you guides. It's going to help you know what you need to talk about and where you need to do things. Even if you're doing a show like mine, which is an interview show, or you're doing like something that's performance-based, or you're just rattling off in front of people, you need to know what you're going to say, have the beats, have the information that you want to cover in there. This is not a script. Like you do not have to script this if you're uncomfortable with that. What you need to know is like when you need to talk about things, how you're going to introduce things, how you're going to read your sponsor information, how you're going to just set up the flow. Having that ROS is going to give you structure and a clear vision for what you're trying to accomplish in your podcast. Next, we are going to talk about gear. Now, you don't need a lot of complicated things. Like you could start your podcast with like just your web camera and like the mic that's attached to it. But I want you to have like a really good quality one without any concern about it not recording really well. So I have two suggestions for you. One, you can either get a microphone that has a stand. Now you need the stand because you don't want to be holding it because it causes all of like this issue. So have a stand, whether it's a flat stand or like what I use, which is a boom arm. Boom arm. Whatever it is, you need to have a mounted microphone, and you can get those almost at any cost. Now, what microphone you should get is really up to you and your budget. I got the microphone I've been using for my podcast for over 3 years off of eBay. It's just a Blue Yeti, but there is a whole wide variety of microphones that you can get. So really base it off of your budget and the reviews that you have. Another alternative to you, which is option number 2, is you can just use headphones that have a really good mic. I do countless interviews with people where they just use their Apple earbuds as a way for them to record their podcast. They can hear me and I can hear them really clearly, and it works really well. Now, if you're using headphones and a mic together, you really want to make sure that you have everything set up correctly so that like you're not plugging into the wrong place or that everything is working correctly. So make sure you're testing before you hit that almighty record situation. Now you need a tool to record with, and that brings us to the sponsor of our video, Streamyard. Streamyard is my go-to platform recording the podcast, not only for the women of YouTube, but for all of the podcasts that we produce. We're able to act as a producer and do so much great things from audio control and video control, and it's easy for us to invite people in because all they have to do is take that link, paste it into their browser, put their name in, and make sure that their mic and stuff is all on, and boom, they are there. It is so easy, it's browser based, and it is my go-to tool. You can check this out for free with the link I have for you down in the description below. Now, the reason I'm going to suggest Streamyard to you is not only because it's easy, but because it has really great audio control. So let's head to the computer real quick, where I'm going to show you how to use the different audio recording features within Streamyard. Okay, so now that we are in Streamyard, we're going to set this all up so that you can adjust and control the audio for yourself and for your guests. So first things first, let's show you how you are going to be able to split the audio tracks for you and your guests. You're going to go down here to the wheel where it says cam/mic, and you're going to click it and go into general, and then you're going to have record a separate audio file for each guest. Now, this by default will be deselected, so you need to make sure that you click it. This will allow for all of your guests to have their audio files recorded separately, okay? Now, for more steps, let's go down to audio and make sure that we have some of their settings on. We wanna make sure we have echo cancellation on. This is so that like the other person's mic or words don't pick up on your mic or words, okay? And then automatically adjust mic volume. That's just a good standard thing to have. Now, once you have your guests in, you're gonna be able to adjust their volume, whether it's like the loudness or the reverb and stuff. Have your person here in the green room, and they have to be on screen in order for you to adjust their mic. So once they're on screen and unmuted, you need to hit these three dots right here and hit edit mic settings. So this is where you're editing their side, not yours. What you can do, obviously check that they have the echo cancellation on. You can automatically adjust the mic volume. This will just like basically predetermine how loud or soft they are. But if like they're being louder and you're quieter or vice versa, you can unclick this and adjust the mic volume here. This is really helpful for someone that's very loud and like they're clipping and making that like really obnoxious peaking sound that we get with doing volume. It's better to fix it here than trying to fix it in post. So that is how you adjust your mic settings for podcast recording. Let's go back to the video. What's really great about Streamyard is once you record, whether it is through a live stream or just recording locally, you're going to get all of those files hosted up on their server, and you can download the video and the audio files and the different audio files for your guests if you do what that tutorial says. So definitely consider Streamyard as your go-to. Super easy, because that's what we're here for. Way to get your podcast started. So once you have your run of show, once you have your gear, once you are using Streamyard, then you're going to actually record your podcast, whether it's with you or your guests. Once you have recorded your podcast and you download the audio file, now you need to have a place to edit it. Now, I personally use what's free and available on my computer. I use GarageBand for my Mac. It's free and it comes with my computer. And it's very easy for me to edit it together if I even need to. You might not need to edit anything out. So if you just need to upload the file straight to Libsyn, go nuts. But if not, use whatever software is available on your computer. And if you still don't have something, there's a free tool you can use called Audacity, which allows for you to easily put your podcast together and all these other extra bells and whistles. And again, it starts out for free, and then they have like paid packages and stuff. So here's the bonus tips for you to help you on the path to podcast success. Number one is make sure you have a website that you can host your show notes for your podcast. We have thewomenofyoutube.com, which is a full website dedicated to this, but you can host your podcast on your blog. The show notes are incredibly important. That way people can get the transcription, people can get like the timestamps, people can get whatever list and information you're talking about. Maybe you have a sponsor, maybe you want to drive them to your website to get those conversions. Use show notes of some kind so people have another way to get information from you and connect with you. Now, you want to make sure that you create a channel trailer. Now, this isn't a video situation. This is an audio trailer where you're introducing the podcast and like what people can expect. This is like your episode 000. And Spotify actually is really cool because it's at the very top of your podcast and very nice. So you can have that there kind of pinned to the top forever for people to know what your podcast is about and what is going on in there. So consider putting a channel trailer together to get started with your podcast. And then again, you can always change it out, which is a really nice feature of Libsyn. My third tip for you is to encourage you to create a video podcast. If you're already in Streamyard, you're already going to get a video. So you might as well do something with it. In fact, I'm going to have a whole tutorial that you can watch in the cards now, which is going to break down for you how to create a successful video podcast that you're not going to want to miss. So make sure you catch that there. Now, if you're looking to learn more about how to use Streamyard so you can make a killer video podcast, watch this video I have for you right here and watch this video right here because YouTube thinks you're really going to like it. And until next time, I'll see you soon.